Hi, my name's Tom Brazier, and today I'm going to present my film idea called Rogue. The reason it's called Rogue is because of the story, and it's about a policeman who goes rogue and against his team throughout the film. So this is a cut down version of my treatment. I'm just going to explain the genre. It's a police drama and thriller because it's going to have lots of suspense and intense scenes where a policeman is, as I said, going against his team and he's being found out throughout the film by different people who he works with. It's going to be set in the modern day in London, hopefully, if I can film that, because I think that's where a lot of, because it's a British film, a lot of people around the world will obviously know London, and it's a very iconic place to shoot films. It's about the distribution of drugs around the city. It's going to take place between two gangs who are selling drugs, and they're trying to come out on top on who can be the best drug dealers, basically. A lot of it, a lot of the inspiration came from the BBC One shows Sherlock and Luther. They're not films, but they are. Well, Sherlock is an hour and a half long per episode, and that is about Sherlock Holmes, who's obviously a detective, and I thought that would be a good inspiration for mine because mine's about a detective who's, you know, on he's gone against his team. The runtime for it is going to be around an hour and 50. The reason I thought that was because again with Sherlock that goes on for an hour and 30 per episode, but I thought because it's a film, I wanted the extra sort of 20 odd minutes to maybe set up a story, because in Sherlock they've got Sherlock and Luther, they have their story already, like in their new series. They have the characters all sorted out, but I wanted the extra 20 minutes maybe towards the start to just integrate the characters into this world and to explain what they're about. So the story, I'll just go through again roughly. It's about a corrupt policeman who goes against the police, and he's selling drugs because he needs to find money for his terminally ill wife, and the only way she can cure her disease is by getting a really expensive operation abroad, which he can't afford and the family can't afford, so he has to try and sell the drugs. While on the job as a policeman, he finds out that one of his old school friends is the leader of a big drug gang, one of the two that are going to be battling it out in London, and he decides to take his help in trying to make money selling the drugs. But a detective at the police station starts to catch on to what he's doing when he takes loads of time off work, loads of sick time, saying that he's ill or that he wants to be with his wife, but it's an unusually large amount of time that he's taking. So he starts to catch on and starts to investigate him himself, and then later on the corrupt policeman, our main character, finds out that his son is part of the rival gang, and he has to sort of decide between whether to keep going how he is or to try and get his son out and not be a bad influence on him. My target audience, I want it to be 15 to 30-year-old males. The reason for this is because of the type of genre it is. Men stereotypically are more into police dramas. The age range actually has something to do with Netflix, because I thought with the growing online media sector around the UK, a lot of big shows are on Netflix. Better Call Saul and Daredevil are just a couple, and I think this would fit well on there because it has a few stars in it, as you'll see later, and also the age range 15 to 30 is quite young, and obviously the younger generation use Netflix more. Another reason for 15 to 30 is because it's going to be, I want it to be a 15, because there's going to be some violence, some gun violence and shooting, and also a lot of swearing in it, because I feel that to get the authenticity of the film across, I think in drug dealing and shootouts there's going to be swearing in real life, so I would have to put that into my film. You can see the British flag up there because it's a very British film. The crew will be British, of course. It's set in London, as you'll see shortly. The whole main cast are British or English actors, and I think that'll make it a good British film, obviously. As you can see it in front of you, as I placed a budget on your table before. Well, I put all my paperwork on your table before the start of the presentation. This is the budget you can see in front of you. I feel that the budget would be around maybe 8 to 10 million, because this is quite a low budget, and with working title films, which we've researched, they have a film called Hot Fuzz, which stars Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, and that cost £8 million to make. And I thought this has a few bigger stars in it, and like currently at the moment, and I think that adds on just a little bit more. I think a quarter of the budget, around 2 million, maybe more, will just be on the actors' pay, because of the big actors in it. I think maybe 500,000 between each of the main three sort of actors in it. So that will take up a lot of the budget, and that's the reason I chose that sort of price range, because Hot Fuzz is it's a comedy, but it's shot as if it is a police drama, and it's sort of a dark comedy as well. So in front of you is my production schedule. I want to start production on the 25th of January. I forgot when I was starting it. I forgot the year. As you can see in front of you is my production schedule. I want to start production on the 25th of January 2017, and I would like it to end almost a year later in early January 2018, because I want it to be released on March 18th, 2018. I feel that that's over a year is a good amount of time to be able to get the script together, for the cast to get together. As you'll see shortly, I have quite big cast members, like big actors who might have other things to do as well. That might be films going into the cinema rather on Netflix, so they might not have time to do this straight away. I feel that just over a year will be enough to get it, market it as well, and get it out in the cinema. No, not out in the cinema, sorry. To get it on, advertise it on Netflix and on TV, so it can be released on Netflix on March 18th. I'm now going to talk a bit about the pre-production for the film. I've put, again, with the media pack and parts of stuff I've shown you already, the budget. You also have some pre-production material in front of you, some sample scripts and storyboards you have there. The two sample scripts in front of you that I've done are for these top two key scenes. One is the opening scene of the film, where there's a bank robbery going on, and you see the main character John, the corrupt policeman. You see him have a bit of sympathy for a robber, maybe showing his future on how he's going to become a drug dealer, and that he's not against the corruptness and that, because he sees the guy running away and chooses not to shoot him when he's on the floor and he can't run after him, chooses not to shoot him. He just lets him go. And then the second one that you have in front of you is that John's son Greg is found out to be part of the rival gang that I've explained before, after he's been captured by the gang that John is working for to make extra money to pay for his wife's illness. And then I do have two other key scenes that I don't have sample scripts for, and that was when the policeman who is against John and starts finding out that he's starting to sell drugs and be illegal, is Jared, that's his name. And this scene is where he's looking at surveillance and he finds out that John and Greg are part of the drug ring in London, and he sets out a team to hunt them down. And then the last key scene is the finale of the film, and it's a shootout between the two gangs and the police, because everything's blown up. The police know about the drugs, the two gangs even are against each other already, so they'll be fighting, and the police just turn up because they found out about Greg and John. And then we see sort of a scene where Greg is on the floor. Oh no, sorry. Jared is on the floor, and Greg and John are running away, and you sort of see it as in the same shot as the first scene, the opening scene, where John doesn't shoot the bank robber, and Jared thinks about shooting him or not, and in the end he decides to shoot him, which is the opposite of what John did in the first scene. But Greg, John's son, jumps in the way and dies to save his dad. Here I have some set designs for the key scenes. The first scene is obviously going to be the bank. There's been a bank robbery, and I want it to look. I found this picture online, and I think that this is exactly what I want. It's very dark. You can see the light reflects well off the vaults where they're keeping the money. And I think it will be a very good. There's a long corridor for the police to chase them, and I just think that would be great for that scene. The second scene is the gang hideout. I want it to be an abandoned building. It's obviously where a gang would hide out. It's been the building's like done. It's boarded up, but they've broken in to make and sell their drugs, and to just sort of hang there. The third key scene was the surveillance, where they find out about Greg and John, and obviously it'd be a police surveillance room. This is a picture of a police surveillance room, and this is obviously where it would be filmed, but I'd like it to be a lot more darker, because my crime drama is quite gritty, quite dark. And the final one is the Urban Street Shootout. I want it to be, it's going to be near where the gang hideout is, so it's going to be sort of rundown area. It's going to be down a long road with a dead end at the end, and at the end of the road where the dead end is where Jared will fall over, and John and Greg will try and run out the only way out, which is why he has a clean shot at them. So I think that would be a perfect type of place for that. Next up is my title design. As you can see, the one, as you saw on the first slide, the one I picked is the blue circle one. I wanted, when I first went out to make the title, I wanted it to be bold. I wanted it to sort of be like an action film, so there's going to be a lot of action in this film. I wanted it to have a standout colour, and I thought red was good for that, maybe with a white trim. I haven't thought about that completely yet. But I wanted it to be red, definitely, because it sort of showed blood. Because obviously there's going to be a shootout in it, people die, blood is going to be shed. I went through all of these were the ones that I went through. I had this one, because at first I thought it might be a sort of retro type police drama, and that I thought looked like something you'd see in the 60s. But I went against that, and then I saw that, and I sort of thought of I thought of video games then, where you see sort of shooting games look like maybe a Call of Duty type thing, but then I fought against it because I just didn't think it looked sort of professional as a film title. I then went on to this one, which was a bold one. It stood out, but I just thought it was a bit bland for the final one, as was the same with the top right one, which is a similar font, but it was just a bit more curved edges. I just thought it didn't work very well. And then there was this one, and these two were my final ones that I wanted to choose between. But I went with the other one because I preferred the thickness of the letters, made it stand out more and look a bit more bold, as I wanted it to be when I first set out to look for a title. And the costume design, I have to be honest, it's one of the last things I thought about when making the presentation about it. And so I just got the what I want the three sort of key characters in this to wear in it. We have John Wilson, the detective, who's our main character, the one who goes corrupt. He's wearing a typical sort of, I wanted him to look like a detective, but I didn't want him to have a sort of black trench coat, not sort of like the Sherlock Holmes look, but it's sort of his own look. He wears a brown jacket. It looks quite casual. He's got this, like, the jacket like that. I think he just looks more casual than serious, which I sort of wanted it to be, because you want to like the character, you don't want him to be a snooty police detective. The middle one is for Greg Wilson, John's son. Obviously, we find out he's part of a gang, so for a lot of the film, he will look like a gang member. So the typical, stereotypical hoodie and cap sort of look. And then Jared Hamilton is the exact opposite of what I wanted John to look like, because they're both detectives, so they had to wear suits. But as you can see, he's got a smart suit on, cost him a lot, might have spent a lot of money on it, and he just looks like I want his character to be quite stiff. It's quite sort of tight on him. He's sort of trying to show off, because you don't want to like the character. Now onto the proposed cast. I've said throughout the presentation. Sorry, I'll hurry up. Now onto the proposed cast. I said throughout the presentation that there are some big stars in this, current stars as well, and I'll just start from the main man you can see there, Martin Freeman, who will play who I'd like to play John Wilson, the main character. I feel like he'd be a good fit because of the show Sherlock that I wanted to base this on. He plays Sherlock's assistant John Watson, and he the way he acts in that, I think is brilliant, and it's just the way I wanted to act in this. He has a lot of energy, and I think he can bring a lot to the role, because he can also play dark characters. In Sherlock, he used to be an army doctor. He saw things that a lot of people wouldn't want to see, and the way he acted in that to sort of keep that darkness in his past, but also be quite energetic, I thought was great. The middle one at the top is Taron Egerton, who has come into his own recently, being famous for films like Kingsman, The Secret Service, and Eddie the Eagle. The reason I think he'd be great for it was because of his performance in Kingsman, where obviously in this he'll be playing a gang member, and in Kingsman he played quite a chavvy sort of London teenager, and in that he wore the sort of costume that I showed. He had cap on, hood up, and I think the way he acted in that was brilliant, and because it's the similar sort of character, I think it would be great for this. The third one along is another one of my big stars. It's Olivia Colman, who's going to play Tina Clark, who is John Wilson's terminally ill wife. The reason I thought she'd be great for it is because the character is very dramatic. Obviously, she's terminally ill. She could die, and Olivia Colman does drama great. I saw her in Broadchurch, and she was just great at being very dramatic in that. Down here on the bottom left is Darren Boyd, who not a lot of people know his name, but he has been in lots of different shows. More recently, he's been in Sky One's Lucky Man, which is produced by Stan Lee, so he's got quite a big role under his belt. And that is actually because I've watched that recently, that is the reason that I like him for the other detective called Jared Hamilton, because in that he is quite snooty. He wants the guy above him his job so bad that he'll do anything to get it, even if it's horrible and it's mean to the guy, which is the sort of character I want for this, because he wants John's job, and he's the one hunting down John, and we don't really want to like him. I think he plays that role well. One bottom middle is Matt King, who will play Bruce Hardy, who is the childhood friend of John Wilson, who is also the drug gang leader who John joins to make money. And the reason I've chosen Matt King for this role is because he is one of the main characters in the Channel 4 sitcom Peep Show, and in that he is a drug addict, and he's quite erratic, and that is the exact type of character I want for this. He's quite erratic. He'll go to extreme lengths to get drugs, to sell drugs. I just thought he was a perfect fit after seeing him in Peep Show. And the bottom right is Zor Ashton, who is in another Channel 4 sitcom, Fresh Meat, and in this, I haven't explained her role a lot. She's one of the lesser characters in it, but she still has a key role. She is the younger sister of Matt King's character, and she is part of the gang that he and John are part of, but she doesn't really like John that much and thinks that he should be out of the gang. And the reason I thought she was great for it is because she's got a similar, in Fresh Meat, she has a similar character to Taron Egerton's character in Kingsman, She's quite chavvy, she's quite open, she's quite broad. And this is also on your desk. I have sample material of a poster that I made for, but if the actors I wanted for the show for the film got the parts, this is what the poster might look like. I've taken inspiration from the police drama that's out at the moment called 999, which uses their characters around the outside in black and white, and has a square rectangle box in the middle where they put their cast. And the reason I wanted this was because it showed off a police car in action. It shows the characters looking serious and worried about their characters and stuff. These are all just pictures off the internet of the actors from the shows they were in that I explained earlier. And I just thought it was a good look for a police type drama. Thanks for listening. I hope you liked my idea, and I hope you'll be able to take it on, and it might be on Netflix one day. And also, just finally, this is the bibliography I have for the PowerPoint, because obviously I had a lot of images of the actors and screenshots from shows off the internet, so for copyright reasons, these are the links that I got from.
Bye.